why haven't you integrated yet? And I'm not talking to foreigners, of course.
You're talking to me.
I'm talking to you.
Oh, God.
The locals, so the British or the French who live in France or the Germans who live in Germany. Really, the problem is you. You have not integrated into the new European way of life. And you might think that's a bit of an insane thing to demand, that you just become whoever's turned up. And, well, no, it turns out LBC, the biggest radio station in London, leading Britain's conversation, has come up to tell us, no, you are the problem. And this is Sanjita over here, who is my, I don't know, maybe third favorite leftist at this point. She's gone up in the
She's
list.
a truly hateful woman.
She's hilarious because she's either British or Indian, depending on what day of the week it is. And in most of her segments, it's her talking to people and saying that they're in the wrong for wanting immigration to be slightly lower.
So she takes issue with people who care about social cohesion in the UK.
Yes.
But apparently not with people who care about social cohesion in communities that are not UK.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is a weird interaction because I suppose we'll play it and enjoy it. But the underlying question is obviously, why haven't you integrated? Which is funny because, well, you'll see.
So the first point is the destabilization. The second point is Brexit. So
sorry, did you say destabilization?
Yeah, destabilization.
What's been destabilized?
Places in the Middle East and North Africa. But specifically Brexit, because we've had to swap EU immigration from non-EU immigration, and that's where the community cohesion fails, and that's where the friction comes from, as we saw in Leicester in September 2022. And you have to blame David Cameron for that.
No, you don't. Why hasn't there been another clash since?
The Palestine protests.
Why hasn't there been another clash since in Leicester?
I think it's a matter of time.
Why hasn't there been? I can tell you why there hasn't been. Actually, okay. Jonathan, because we covered it on the show. Because community leaders, and that is community leaders from both Hindus, Muslims, Christians, including the police force and local authorities, came together, and they made direct appeals to those communities. And ever since those clashes, there has been active bridge building within those communities. That's why. If that isn't success, I really don't know what is. How many of your friends are from diverse backgrounds? A very simple question.
One.
Right. What background?
Mixed, Caribbean, English.
Why do you only have one friend from a diverse background?
Well, that's what it was like growing up in
right.
Chester at the time. It's
right, so hang on a minute.
Shouting on the face,
you know. Ago, did you say?
Yeah.
So you're what?
You're hiding
how old are you?
White friends.
23?
23.
Yeah. And what have you done in the intervening 5 years?
University.
And which university was that?
In London.
Which one?
Queen Mary.
Right. Oh,
when were you born?
What have you done?
I think that's patronising to say that people...
It's not patronising. I'm asking you a question.
More. Not to me, but I could have done more.
It's not patronising. I'm asking you a question. Just answer it.
People ask the questions.
That's just what unfolded in, at university in my life. Yeah.
And there is, my friend, the whole problem with social cohesion in this country, in the pockets of the country where it is not working, where integration is not working as well as it should be. It is people like you, and people from ethnic minority groups with the same attitude as you. You just sit back, you're complacent, you're given every opportunity on a plate, and you still do absolutely nothing. You do not play your part in making sure that this country has social cohesion that is meaningful, that means we are knitted together as human beings and not just as identities.
So the first...
Your fault.
So wait,
your fault that there's ethnic tensions.
So because...
Local man.
Because somebody has been airdropped into my living room and I don't immediately offer to go to the pub with him, that's my fault.
Yes.
That's okay. All right. Also, like that whole big smug thing where she said, well, actually, the warring communities on the streets of Leicester from last year, they've done a lot to progress and make forward. Why did it happen in the first place?
The India-Pakistan divide, I hear, has been fixed. Trust me, bro.
Because community leaders came together and there's real bridge building. Okay, why does that have to happen in the streets of Leicester? Why does it have to happen in the first place?
There's India, Pakistan have not fixed their problems. They never will. As soon as there's another flare-up in that part of the world, just like Israel, Palestine, there'll be the flare-up in Leicester again. Everyone knows it.
Sorry to interrupt the video, but I thought I'd announce that we have a new line of merch. This is our aesthetics collection. So I was thinking that in the face of AI art debasing the very concept of art, actually we'd do something quite positive. So we commissioned a series of paintings that were actually really beautiful. and could be something that we could present outside of politics. So, for example, we have this magnificent painting of a ship weathering a storm, which I thought was just really nice. And we have, of course, a glorious, sort of surrealist giant white tiger drinking from a lake. But also there are other things that are just kind of interesting, such as the chap lost in cyberspace, or something that I thought might, in time for Christmas, make a great present for your mum or something like that. A beautiful cat lounging on some clouds. Basically, we wanted to do some stuff that wasn't just political, so things that were just nice and beautiful and interesting, because that's also a part of the world we want to curate. So you can go over to shop.lotuseaters.com. Buying the merch is a really great way of supporting us and means that we can live past demonetization. And I'm sure they make great gifts for the folks as well.
What is weird, though, is that she talks about meaningful social cohesion, not identity. But obviously, this is nonsense. She wants some groups to maintain their identity and some others to lose it.
Also,
that's what she says.
Can I just point out?
What she implies.
It's very clear.
No, Harry. I will do the questions now. I will ask the question.
Where did you go to university?
Yeah.
Who are your friends?
What is the background of your own family? May I please have the DNA results from your ancestry tests?
What percentage can you say the N-word with? It's just like, this is weird.
Can
on
you
every
imagine
level.
if you went, well, you know, I'm 70% English, I'm 13% Scottish. Oh, okay, so there was some cohesion there, wasn't there? Why can't you come together like the Brits and the Scottish? Like, I'm sorry. Oh,
but the ultimate point being, what have you done, loser? And I just love, of course, Drudka. I can't do a segment about immigration without him at this point. But here's my love. As you can see here, he's just like, what have you done to, well, socially integrate the infinity migrants that have arrived? Why haven't you gone to McDonald's or gone wine tasting with Kareem here? Why would I?
Why haven't you joined the drill rap gang yet, Callum?
Well, that's the flip side. That's how I took it, which is like, why haven't you become like the new Europeans? It's like, I don't want to shit in the street. I mean, genuinely, that's an actual problem that we're now getting in the UK because the same problem exists in India.
I don't really feel like knifing anyone today.
It's difficult, I know. And
Harry, sorry, what did you say? You need to work a bit.
I need to work on that. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. If I'm not violently assaulting people on a different postcode as myself, can I really say that I've tried to integrate?
But talking specifically to Leicester and then the Indian thing there's a reason I bring up defecation, and it's not because nobody knows. It's just, it's worse than anyone thinks. Josh sent me this just before we started, which I'll only briefly mention here, which is there's been a new study into the fact of open defecation in India is now being blamed for the fact that Indians are short by this study here and investigating whether or not that's what accounts for the difference in child
height. Have we tried integrating?
Yes. So the funniest part of this, now we'll have to save the rest of this for another time because it is utter gold, is the author writes, if they, the Indians, were counterfactually exposed to sub-Saharan African levels of sanitation using a non-parametric rewriting method, India's projected increase in mean height is at least as large as the gap. The author is sincerely writing that if Indians lived with the same level of sanitation as sub-Saharan Africans, they would be taller. That's the effect, or at least the claimed effect, of how bad open defecation is in India. And I'm sorry, of all the things you can integrate with the foreign world, this is probably one of the worst things. And it's just when I hear someone say, well, what have you done to integrate with the new Europeans? It's just like, maybe I don't want to. Maybe I just don't. I mean, this is the most extreme difference, let's say. And then there's, I don't know, like the French who eat frogs. Again, what if I just don't want to? I mean, it wasn't asked at any point.
I was once in year 6. I went to a chateau in France with primary school, and all they were serving was French food, which was literally snails and frogs or jacket potato. So I survived purely off jacket potatoes for an entire week because I refused to eat snails and frogs.
Snails are actually quite good.
No.
I'm going to test on that. But...
No, you're lying.
But the point being, you shouldn't have to eat the snails or etc. Because, of course, you were never asked. This was just something that happened to Britain by force of the leading class. And now you're the problem.
It's really annoying that, in a sense, people who want to be natives and remain native, they are being shunned and shamed. Because what she's doing, basically, she's shaming.
Bollocks. Poured water
Shit.
on myself.
You need to clear.
I'll be fine.
That's fine.
So the water doesn't infiltrate your keyboard and
I
destroy
don't care. This laptop's
your
crap.
machinery. Anyway.
Oh, fair play.
You have 24 seconds. Anyway, so no, what is annoying is that she's shaming. And that's what her questions are all about. How many friends do you have? You know.
Yeah. What's annoying is
how many right-wingers does she befriend? And I saw that from the chat.
What's annoying is that she's a self-righteous ideologue who's only promoting these positions for her own self-interest. She knows that she is not of a British background, so obviously what's going to be beneficial to her is to push narratives where all of the British need to be more nice to her.
Yeah.
That's why she has a job.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for people who don't know, LBC did used to have right-wing people on, such as...
They had Farage.
Katie Hopkins, and they just purged them all. Literally, she's employed to be a mouthpiece. Sanjita herself is not an interesting person. Never would be. Because there's a vacancy for someone to shout into microphone in London about how great immigration is. That's why she has a job. It's crystal clear. It's cut and dry in her case, because she has no other real achievements. But this question of Leicester comes up a lot in the dialogue in the UK. And you can see here BBC Politics, around about the same time, decided to have this person on, which is the Labour MP, to tell everyone that we've been working extremely hard to bring together those two communities, as Sanjita said. And trust me, bro, India, Pakistan are now the best of friends. We've solved it.
How? By coming together and talking?
Yes, we had one of those, what is it, interfaith
They
meetings?
went on a play date to the local park together.
Yeah, everyone had a photo op once a month. Yeah. And a tick, done. Trust me, bro.
If we do it in public, in front of the cameras, that means that as soon as the cameras have gone, everyone's still getting along with each other, right?
Yeah. It's just so transparent that obviously it doesn't work, and you can see it in the data still. No one lives next to each other in Leicester. As you can see here, you've got, well, I suppose I'll make it bigger, the integration question from Juice, which is the white British. Where do they live? Well, they live in the West, and then the Indian population, well, they live in the East. And pure coincidence, but one in, I think it was 6 people in Leicester East is a modern-day slave. So there we are. What have you done to integrate with slavery? You evil person wanting to just
If we have
enjoy
community
life.
leaders come together, we can solve this problem overnight. We just need to be building bridges with the modern slavers.
Yeah. I'm not sure the bridges need to go in both directions.
Or,
a lot of these things.
Or is the Madagascar solution more effective?
Well, that's the other aspect of this, because then the conversation became, as you can see from BBC Politics, they had a Conservative on, and his complaint was, well, if we import 1 million people a year, the real problem with that is that we can't integrate 1 million people a year. It's so damaging for the immigrant community. It's terrible, terrible. Every other issue apparently is not as important as whether or not these people can integrate. But there we are. I mean, it's a mad statement on the face of it. Damn, we can't integrate 1 million people a year. Yeah, no, you never would be able to with a population as small as the UK. There's nowhere to put these people so that everyone has some kind of access to English culture and therefore can integrate. It's not statistically possible.
And integration has lots of questions behind it, like what are the cultural continuities and discontinuities between members of the group that seeks to be integrated and the host group? That's a big question that very few people are asking.
Well, also just where are they going to live? Because, I mean, like these guys, if you move into Leicester East, how are you going to become English?
Yeah.
I mean, good luck.
I mean, there are many places where I'm sure the English language isn't used. Many neighborhoods, and that's a big.
There are parts of Swindon where you can walk down the street and not hear a single word of English.
Yeah. I remember, I think there was a study, just the worst example I can think of, was in Tower Hamlets, where they found, I think it was about 50% of Bangladeshi women just don't speak any English whatsoever. Because they didn't need to.
Yeah.
The husbands go and earn the money, and they just raise kids.
And as we found out through that recent case in the nursing home, that works out so well when they get jobs.
You end up dead. Anyway, so, I mean, here's something else I had to mention, because, again, Drudka, my queen, decided to come out and put out this thread, or I suppose video, where it's just conservatives telling dirty little lies.
We're bringing down the numbers to sustainable levels.
Net migration needs to come down radically from hundreds of thousands a year to just tens of thousands. Immigration benefits Britain, but it needs to be controlled, it needs to be fair.
Britain does not need net migration in the hundreds of thousands every year.
So work with us, not against us, and we'll better control immigration.
Brexit must mean control of the number of people who come to Britain from Europe.
What people want and what they will get is control of our own immigration system.
But I am clear that our immigration system must change.
Because our asylum system is fundamentally broken, and we have a responsibility to act. Our immigration system is broken, and we will fix it
Uncontrolled immigration creates unmanageable demands on our NHS and on our welfare state.
We were too slow to recognise the scale of the problem.
Yeah, just a little bit. But no, the problem is you, dear viewer. You are the issue. Why have you not? What have you not done? Why didn't you go wine tasting with every one of these, well, several million people over those years in which the Conservatives said that was too many at any point to actually be sustainable? But no, yeah, you're the one that's wrong. I thought I'd just end this off with something, because you may remember, I think it was the Danish government came up with that lovely graph where it's like, hey, not all immigrants are equal. Here's a graph of net contributors from Denmark when they pay taxes. What do we get out of it, just in tax benefits? And here's European migrants. They pay into the system. And of course, you've got Luxembourgers at the top. And then I think it was like Albanians at the bottom or something, if you count them as European. And then there was the non-European graph, which just never gave you any money. Well, I'm proud to tell you, boys, that the Dutch, they didn't just decide to release that data on crime. Someone has done a piece of research on money. So this is the Amsterdam School of Economics here, decided to release this paper. And they were looking at the consequences of immigration on public finances. And I suppose if we go to page, I don't know if you can do it, John, but page 114, there's probably the best graph demonstrating what I'd like to speak about. I hate this thing.
Oh, no, that said 114.
Yes. Damn, maybe I've written the wrong number then. But there's a graph in here in which they're showing just the net contributions over time and what you would end up finding as the result of having so many people. And what the Dutch discovered is that they've lost 400 billion euros in the last 20 years.
They've lost 400 billion euros?
Yes.
Is it the one on page 116, perhaps?
Right, maybe.
If you
there we go.
Oh,
that's
okay.
The one I'm looking at. Total net contributions cumulative over time. So to the current year from 1995, minus 400 billion euros.
Jesus Christ.
Let's just say, okay, maybe the people we're taking weren't Luxembourgish bankers. Maybe that was a bit of a mistake if you wanted money. But I didn't realize how bad that was until I also saw Drudka decided to just tweet out a funny meme, which is a conclusion from this study. Given the report's findings, it can be argued that the entire national revenue of the Netherlands from fracking and natural gas extraction has spent for approximately 60 years of that extraction. It entirely went to feeding, housing, educating, and providing medical treatment for migrants and their children over the last 20. Their entire gas industry.
Yeah.
Worthless. Fantastic.
And that's fantastic for anybody who trots out the old argument of, well, we need them. We need them for economic growth. We need them for economic stability. And that's the lie. We already knew that was a lie, but this just goes to show what scale that lie was on.
I mean, the money that's actually stolen from us, I really feel is actually hard to comprehend. So it is good to see when someone has sat down and done the numbers. 400 billion euros over 10, 20 years. That's a lot of money. Think about what we could have done with that money. Think of all the swimming pools you could have built with that money. Well, maybe not the Dutch, but, someone else who likes the sea.
I mean, ice pools.
Yeah. But you can see also, there were some good memes that came out of this, because the Danish, after doing the same stuff, have come up with the net zero immigration target, which is pretty cool. I did love Drutka's interpretation of this, local Danish girl being like, what do you mean you don't have net zero in your country? What are you, barbaric?
Are you poor? Yes, Britain is.
Indeed we are. Because there's this meme in, I forget which side of politics, but there's this meme of getting to Denmark, which is this joke amongst, what do you call them? Social democrats, where it's like, yeah, Denmark is the goal for social well-being and etc. because of all the policy points. And it's like, yes. And there's something you have to do to keep that level of social welfare sustainable. And it's, what little, I don't know, what's a Danish girl's name? Sophie, there we are. That's the only one I can. Yeah, Freya over there is telling us, which, yeah, she would be embarrassed if you don't have net zero immigration, so don't disappoint her. Anyway, I just wanted to end off on the fact that this isn't hard either, because you may have seen the news. That Malay guy.
Yep.
Well, he kept his word. Here's a graph. It's in Taco, but they've written here which departments he did afuera and which he did not. And of course, well, he got rid of most of them. Education, the women department, that's gone. Thank God.
What are women going to do?
So they have an ambience department. You see that ambiente, but maybe that's recycling.
No, it's the ambience department for restaurants.
You know when you go into the woods and you hear birds chirping? Those aren't real birds.
Yeah. We shut them up. The cultural department, get lost. Technology department, afuera. I mean, it's great to see, but it's so irritating that, as you can see Sal writing here, in less than 24 hours, this dude just did it.
Yeah.
He just came in and went, no, we don't need any.
I think it's been signed in so that over the next 21 days, they need to start dismantling these offices. So I'll be interested to see if there are legal challenges brought up against it and if you have mass demonstrations from the presumably ex-employees of these departments, or if there's or if Argentina has a deep state that will try and protect its own. I hope that this all works.
Spontaneous riots in the streets from people who totally have jobs and aren't just paid leftists. That totally won't happen, which, you're right. That may happen.
I'm hoping it doesn't, and I'm hoping that all of these departments do get the chop as they are going, but I'm glad that he's actually signed into it at least.
Yeah, and he's not the only one either. I'll just skip ahead real quick to Russia, who also has similar circumstances in which they're just like, bye-bye to anyone they don't like. So these are some migrant children. I think they're from Uzbekistan, and they went up to an eternal flame, which is one of the various flames in basically every Russian town and city. That is for those who died during the Second World War. And as you can see, they're like throwing ice and snow on the flame to put it out.
Yeah.
So deport. And they did, because why wouldn't you?
Like, for instance, if we had foreigners come into our country telling us we need to tear down statues of people who did great public works in the 19th century.
Or, I don't know, trying to destroy the Churchill statue or the cenotaph, or setting fire to the flag on the cenotaph. You remember that kid from the BLM riots? Nah.
See, double standards. Some people have to integrate, the others don't.
No, they certainly.
No, we have to integrate.
But there we are. What have you done to integrate? Well, I don't care, really. My homeland, my rules. If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that is on the site, such as the Lads Hours, this episode with Right Said Fred talking about music. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.